Welcome back, Leveling Up Nation. This is your host, Brigham Blackham, and I'm your success story strategist, and we have an amazing episode today. I have a wonderful guest, one that you will be able to come back to over and over and be like, wow, this is something that absolutely everyone needs to hear. Now, we're going to be talking about how we can mix family and business, and why not mix family and business. I have my good friend, Loretta Wetzel. Now, she is a serial entrepreneur. She's someone that absolutely knows what it's like to have all of these dreams inside of you that need to be expressed. And she's someone that is living, breathing proof that you can have family and have a business and be able to thrive. So I'm so grateful to have her on today. Welcome, Loretta, to the call. How you doing today?
I am doing fantastic, Brigham. Thank you so much.
It is such a pleasure. Anytime I'm around, you have such an infectious smile and aura about you. I love it. Every time, guys, you are in for a treat. Loretta is a doll. So, Loretta, let's first start with your background. I know one of the first times I heard your story, it struck me to the core. Would you mind sharing that story of receiving the call? And I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to let you, I don't want to spoil it. So you tell us about how you got propelled into being an entrepreneur.
Well, it wasn't pretty. Let me just put it like that. I, like most Americans, have been raised in go to school, get a good job, and climb the corporate ladder. And I did exactly that. In fact, much of my career was nonprofit and then for-profit. I worked at a major airline. I climbed my way up the corporate ladder, and I was a company girl. And I thought I was going to retire from that particular company. But one day, my boss called me into the office and he says, Loretta, we are merging with another company and we're going to need to downsize. And so I've selected you to be the one to leave the company. And I didn't even see it coming, Brigham. I was just floored. And I thought, it wasn't supposed to be like this. Like, have you ever been in a situation where it's like, this wasn't supposed to happen?
Yeah.
But it did. And so when you're facing reality, I'm like, I had 3 strikes against me. Number one, I'm dusting off my resume. I'm putting it out there. Companies are hiring kids straight out of college. They weren't giving me my salary. I'm graced with age. Let's face it. So it's like some companies consider that a liability. But here's the third strike that just really broke my heart. I had 2 kids in college at the time. And I thought for sure I was going to have to call them up and say, baby, mom lost your job. I can't help you with your dreams anymore. You're going to have to come home from college. I can't afford to pay it. It's the worst feeling in the world for a parent to have to break their child's heart because they too can't go out and achieve their dreams. And so that's where I was. And then I was at an event and a young lady asked me a question that changed the trajectory of my life. She said, have you ever thought about investing in real estate and starting a business? Very simple. Looked at me dead in the eye. And I thought, let me check it out. And the rest is history.
I love that. Loretta, one of the things I love about this story was it's not just hopeful. I've known you for years now. I see that you've totally transformed your stars because of not just thinking, oh, I could invest in real estate, but you actually took the action. You surrounded yourself with the right people. You focused in on the things that really mattered. You got really clear on what those currencies of life are. And if you guys aren't familiar with the currencies of life, I'll give you a quick overview. It's like temp K. I learned this from my great friend, Greg Kimball. T is for time, because that's the only one we spend as far as a currency that we have no idea of what the balance is. You didn't know that you were going to walk into work one day and then had no job at the end of the day. Nobody knows, right? Then
Nobody knows.
then you have that energy that, depending on what you're eating, how you're living your life, how you're recharging your vitality, that energy level goes up and down. Then you also have M for money, which is huge. Everybody wants money, but you have to be able to balance that money and have it be something that works for you, not against you. And then the P is for people. And this is where I feel like you, Loretta, are such a delight. And I'm so glad I'm introducing you to my audience because you're such a delightful person. You're one of my favorite human beings. I'm so grateful for you.
And you're one of mine.
And who you surround yourself with, guys, it is so important. That is one of those currencies that if the people that are around you are not building you up, making you feel better, encouraging your dreams, there's a good chance they're an energy vampire and they're sucking the dreams out of you. Then this last one that is the fifth currency of life is knowledge. Now, Loretta, when you first heard about investing in real estate, my guess is you probably didn't have all of the skill set, tool set, and mindset to be able to do it immediately. Is that correct?
Absolutely not. And coming from corporate America, you're pretty much taught to come to work early, you stay late, you follow the SOPs. When I was at HR, I hired people, I fired people. I had no idea about real estate investing. So the key to starting a business is you must become educated. You can't go out here willy-nilly thinking you're going to be a success. It takes education, quality education, accurate education, updated education in order to be successful. And I also want to hone in on what you said earlier about who you surround yourself with. It's actually part of one of my 6 P's in my system called posse, because it is important who you surround yourself with, whether they have accomplished what you are seeking to accomplish, or are they also imposters? Which is it? Because you got to be careful who you surround yourself with.
Excellent. Now I'm curious. I feel like I need to know what the other 5 P's are. You can't just drop a bomb like that and not let us know. We only got the posse. I got to hear more. Tell me, Loretta, what's the other P's?
The first P is purpose and understanding your purpose. I like to say my God-given purpose, whoever your higher power is, but I do believe that each individual has a purpose specifically designed for him or her to fulfill while they are on this earth, and understanding that commitment, that why to your purpose. That's the first thing. The second P is your power. Where is your power? It's your mindset. That's where your power is. How you view things, how you think about things, how you have the ability to shift your context in any given moment. That power is in your mind. That's the second P. I already mentioned about posse, so that's your third. So those 3 are important first before you even get to prosperity, which is starting your own business. It also includes financial literacy. It includes many things, because you can be prosperous not only in currency, prosperous in your energy, prosperous in your relationships, prosperous in your diet, in your healthy eating. I'm attempting not to say the word diet because that's temporary. It's more changing of your eating habits is what's important. That leads into what I call get popping, which is your fitness. And it could be a simple walk in the neighborhood. It doesn't necessarily have to be the Stairmaster, although I will tell you, I made a post today. I have a love-hate relationship with the Stairmaster. Story for another day. And then play. You got to have fun.
Oh, I love that.
Fun. Board games, social life, cracking jokes, having fun, laughter. It is so important because as human beings, we are social animals. Those are the 6 P's.
Beautiful. So recap them really quick for us. Do the first P one more time.
Purpose.
Purpose.
Power.
Power.
Posse. Prosperity.
Prosperity.
get popping,
Get popping. That's so good.
and play.
And play. I feel like popping. It makes me just want to dance. That's such a great word. It just pops out. It's so good. That's very plosive. It's so good. So now that we understand your framework,
Mhm.
I feel like the one I want to go deepest on, since we're focusing in on family and business, is how does your framework help us increase our vitality in our family and our connections with our family? And then how does that bleed into our business? Because there is a connection. Who we surround ourselves with, how we interface with our family, how we interface with other people, they're all interconnected. I want to hear your take on why that's so important to have this holistic approach to
Mhm.
running your business and running your family.
So that's a great question. And oftentimes people lean into either or.
Mm,
I believe you can actually have it all, and it ties to your purpose and your power. That's why they're the first two. Mixing families and business. Let me share with you the secret to that. You want to know the secret?
I want to know the secret. You guys want to know the secret? I hope they do.
Here's the secret. Your family is your chosen family.
Hmm.
That's the secret. See, we're all related. I do believe in 6 degrees of separation. So everybody realistically may not be able to work with their biological family.
Hmm.
However, you may have a best friend from high school who you consider as a brother or sister. You may have an aunt, uncle, or cousin, or a godfather, someone who you consider as family.
Yeah.
That's how you mix family and business together, because it isn't simply about an economic activity. It's about bringing families together, bringing communities together. It's about instilling values, and it's about creating a lasting legacy.
Hmm.
That's important.
Beautiful. When I think of a lasting legacy, my mother, she had a song that the lyrics always ping into my head. It's have a legacy of love.
Mhm.
Anytime that you share love and you are appreciative of other people, this is our superpower as human beings. No other animal can do this. They can say, "Oh, I like you. Thank you for giving me food." Like a dog could say that or a cat could say that, but they are not going to be able to appreciate what it took to make sure that they didn't overeat. You didn't pour all of their food in at one time. Showing that appreciation is so huge, and leaving a legacy of love, I think, is one of the most important things we can do as entrepreneurs. And one of my things my friend Greg always says is you want to outcare everyone in the room. Leave the word
Mhm.
ah or wow in their mouth, because as we outcare other people in business, when you consistently do the right thing, not because it's the most profitable, but just because it's the right thing to do, your outlook on life changes. It doesn't, you don't have to get every single dollar. It's huge. So Loretta, what's your idea there? I feel like there's something that popped into your head just barely. I need to hear that.
Well, there's a formula for outcare.
Mm,
Um, I tend to think in formulas because
mm,
it helps me to execute.
excellent.
I so agree with you to outcare everyone. This is how you do it. There's an acronym called LAVA, LAVA. The L is for listen. And I don't mean surface listening. I mean full on 100% attention, paying attention to words, vocal qualities, body language, what's being said, what's not being said. That deep, deep listening.
Yeah.
Then the A is for acknowledging. You see so many people, they are so intent on, but I got to share with you what I want to say.
Yeah.
I got to get it out. It's burning me up. I'm like, you didn't even acknowledge what the person just said. Now, here's how you really leave them in awe. You validate them. There's a difference between acknowledge and validation. And let me share the difference. Because there are times, and this is where the superpower comes in, Brigham, because there are times when people will share their opinions that are vastly different than your values. You must learn how to acknowledge and also validate their opinion without necessarily agreeing with them.
Yep.
And when you do that, you leave people in awe, especially when you ask questions. People love it when you ask questions or when you ask powerful questions, because that means you are truly interested in who they are, what they have to say, and they feel listened to.
Beautiful. Now that last A, I feel like I need to have the last A.
The last A is asking powerful questions.
Beautiful.
That's the last A.
Wonderful.
Because powerful people ask powerful questions. Why? Because questions steer focus. And in this life, you only get what you focus on. So you must learn how to ask powerful questions.
Asking powerful questions. This is one of the superpowers of those that are high-level communicators. While you were sharing that lava example, I lava it, by the way. I like the puns. But I had that little Pixar film going through my my head for just a second. But that's one of those anchors. As you listen really intently, not with the intent to respond, but to understand, you do appreciate what people are saying. You respond in a way that is meaningful, and then showing that appreciation. That's such a good distinction. But it's not just, hey, thank you for throwing me that ball. It's like, I caught it. Hey, good job. You threw that ball. I'm so glad that you threw it with such good pace. Well done. Very different experience than if you're playing catch, someone throws it and they didn't even acknowledge that you threw it. Oh, this reminds me of a story. Okay, when I was younger, I had been playing baseball and I was warming up our best pitcher. He was, for a high schooler, or I guess a middle schooler, he was a very fast pitcher. He probably could throw around 75 or 80 miles an hour. Okay. And I was warming him up. I had the mask on and I had the nice thick glove that's supposed to take most of the impact, but my coach called my name just before he pitched a fastball, and he took my eye off the ball. I took my eye off the ball just for a moment, said, "What was that?" And I thought he stopped as well, but he threw the ball and it hit me right in the temple, just behind the mask, knocked me out. Just cold clock. I remember coming to a few moments later, I was like, what happened? I don't even know how I ended up on the ground. And I remember this was one of those great lessons in communication. Just because you thought that you indicated or let someone know, hey, I'm not paying attention to you, or I am going to receive it. If you don't make sure that that message was received, you're going to blindside them. I got blindsided by that ball and it knocked me out. So if you think about that, that's very similar to the way that you were blindsided in going into work and just finding out you don't have a job that day. Huge.
That's it.
Like getting hit in the temple with a baseball.
That's it. That's it.
That's it.
And it's like you can sit there and mope or feel sorry for yourself, which I did. It was just temporary. Yeah. It was like, no, you can't stay in this spot too long because you got a family that you're responsible for, right? And so as human beings, it was a gut punch. You were knocked out cold. It was a gut punch for me. But we as human beings, we have the ability to choose.
Right.
We choose our energy level. We choose where we stay at. Do we choose to go to a high vibrational level? Or do we choose to wallow in negativity and say, woe is me, this was done to me? No, it wasn't done to me. It was actually done so that I could receive a bigger blessing that I didn't even realize was there for me.
Beautiful. Not done to you, but done for you. Now, this is something that just reminded me of another story. You guys ready for this? I love stories. A couple months ago, my daughter was really into a series. It's called The Wings of Fire. Cute little series that was animated. And she got through all of the books and she's like, now I want to start actually just reading the regular novel rather than the graphic novel. And my wife had anticipated this a few months before. We're like, well, we're going to give this to her for Christmas. But she actually asked, Mom, do you think we could go get that first book and actually like be able to read it? Belinda walked into the other room, got it off the shelf, which she'd already bought it. And she said, just because you asked, here you go. Like blew her mind that her mom was so prepared. And you should have seen her face. It was like, what just happened? That's the power of asking the right questions at the right time. Sometimes we're thinking so hard about what we want that we don't think, what could we get if we knew the right questions to ask? One of the reasons we go through education and we associate with amazing people and we talk with great mentors, we listen to great podcasts, we listen to great stories, is because we need to ask the right questions. That's so key. So key.
And
go ahead.
There's another lesson to that, though. Not only asking the right questions, what you taught your daughter is the ability to not be afraid to ask for what you want. There are so many people that suffer from fear of rejection. The two biggest fears are fear of failure and fear of rejection. And in between that, there's what I call an avoidance sandwich, because those are the two biggest fears: fear of failure, fear of rejection. You taught your daughter to speak up, to ask questions, and to not be afraid to ask for what you want, and particularly for the female species, particularly, right? Because in my era or generation, children were to be seen and not heard. And as we became older, the boys elevated at a different level than girls growing up. This is still a patriarchal society. So teaching your daughter to not only ask powerful questions, but to ask for what she wants, regardless of the answer, she's not attached to the outcome, which is where a lot of people stumble and fail. They won't even ask because they're attached to the outcome. No, you taught her, ask for what you want. And whatever happens, it's okay. And chances are you get what you want.
Exactly. And if you don't ask, what's the chances of you getting anything that you want? You have to ask the question. So this is a rhetorical question for everyone that listens to this. What questions have you not asked yourself that if you actually got down to your deepest desires and you asked deep enough questions, you would be able to get? I think I needed to hear that one today. So thank you, Loretta, for the reminder. What's a question that comes to mind for you, Loretta?
I think the question that comes to mind for me is, why haven't you, and then fill in the blank, whatever that might be. Like, and I'll have to think about that for a moment. Like, why haven't you become a multimillionaire? Not for the money. It's for what you can do with the money
Mm.
to support humanitarian causes for me personally. I mean, there's only so many clothes you can have. There's only so many houses you can have. It's material things, right? But why haven't you become a multimillionaire for humanitarian purposes? That would be the question that I would ask myself. And thank you.
You're welcome. When I think of a question to ask myself, it's why haven't you written your books yet? I've got a few that I've written the starts to. I'm in the middle of a handful of things. But you also want to look at these questions and not do it in a shameful way. You think about, will this question empower me? Will it help me get to that next level? Will it give me the motivation and the obligation to take the next step? For me, I am so grateful for this podcast as a platform because it has given me a way to interact with a lot of my stories, interact with people like yourself that are just amazing. And I elevate my thoughts because I'm associating with great people that are on a similar vibration, So for me, why not? 2025, why not finish my 2 books that I've already started? Why not finish them?
Well, and then the next step after that is, are you putting a stake in the ground? Because if it's something that you truly, truly are committed to, it requires a date, a time frame. It requires clarity. It requires action steps. So by 2027, multi-millionaire, not just singular, because I'm Mama Soul Wisdom. I have big visions and I do things in a big way. So it can't just be a singular million. It has to be multi-million by 2027. Flag in the ground. Now you have the end. Let's work our way backwards with some clear action steps to make that happen.
Yeah. You think about real estate as just one of those vehicles. It's not the only vehicle that you drive. You've got multiple businesses and multiple ways you do that. But even in real estate, you can think, what would it take to build my net worth over 2 million or 3 million? In Utah, you look at some of the houses, you're like, man, most of those houses are 600 to 800,000. So how many houses do you need? You need 4 or 5. And then you start looking at that goal, you're like, oh, that's actually not as crazy of a goal as it sounds. You're like, that's very reasonable. I can do that. 5 houses in 2 years? Sure. Right? How many offers do I need to put in? How many places do I need to actually go out there and vet to make sure the numbers work?
It's just math.
It's just
action.
Math and
Math
action.
and action.
And then relationships. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned over the last 5 years being in real estate is you're one relationship away from changing your life. And every time you make a connection with someone, you want to leave it a little better than you did before. People remember not just what you did, but how you made them feel.
Yes.
So Loretta,
absolutely.
If you could give, go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say adding more value than you receive is always a winning combination because you both win. And so it's actually a rarity for many people to think like that.
Yeah.
But it's a winning combination. You can't lose like that. And you both win.
Yeah. In school, you're always thought, how can I increase my skills so I can get more from my employer? As an entrepreneur, you think, how can I give more so that they are overwhelmed with value and solve higher and bigger problems? Because the bigger problems we solve, the higher the paychecks. And that's huge. And I think Jim Rohn said it like this. He said that, profits are better than wages. So if you can think, how do I create profit? That's always going to be better than a wage, because profit is something that you have a lot more control over. You can increase value so much, but there's only so much you can suck out of a company. There's only so much time that you can put into a job and energy. So you increase your value, that will increase so many different opportunities for you. Loretta, it looked like you had another idea. I'll let you pop that idea out. Go ahead.
No. I think when you were sharing that, I was like, yeah, zero-sum game just doesn't work. Because there's always one winner and one loser. And I'm like, that sucks. I'm like, no, that's not the way to live. To live an abundant life, there is enough for everyone truly working together, and you can do this. So that was my thought.
I love it. Now, what was a question that I didn't ask you yet that you wish that I had? And we'll end with this one.
Let's see. What I would have had you to ask is, what are some of the top 10 reasons why you mix family and business?
Now go ahead and answer it.
Well, I'll give you 5. How about
All
that?
right, we'll count 5. That's great.
Okay. Well, number 1, financial independence is a very good reason to mix family and business together. Multiple streams of income, and it really doesn't matter who's in office. People oftentimes get caught up in politics, and truth be told, it really doesn't matter. If you focus on controlling a business with your family, you have the ability to control your circumstances, your destiny for yourself and your family. Number 2, those all important life skills. What am I referring to? Confidence. Do you know how many people out there who are not confident? I mean, they look the part. They have on, the 3-piece suit and, the designer shoes and designer purses or a custom-made suit, but on the inside, they are not confident to even voice their own opinion at a business meeting. This is why involving your family in business at such an early age gives them confidence, gives them leadership skills, gives them responsibility, gives them excellent communication skills. What's the number 1 fear? Public speaking. If you control a business, you must be able to communicate clearly to your audience. All of these life skills are important in business. Number 3, we talked about building a family legacy. It's telling the stories. It's sharing. It's bonding. It's asking your kid, hey, how was school today? What was one thing that you was proud of? And what's one thing that you wish you could have done differently? Oh my God, when a parent asks their kid that, some of the answers that they receive, they're floored. They have no idea. Why? Because everyone is sucked into America's number 1 addiction. Mobile phones, tablets, devices. It's the number 1 addiction. So if we take our heads out of that and have a conversation, you'd be surprised some of the things that you would learn about your family, and you can begin to tell the stories that build the legacy. Number 4, flexibility. You gotta have some flexibility. Do you know, this breaks my heart to share this, but it happens, and it's a reality. You have parents who have work obligations. But if their work obligations don't align with their kids' graduation or their kids' play, they'll say, well, honey, I'll try to make it, knowing full well they can't because they have an obligation to their W-2 employer that they have to be somewhere and they can't leave. And so that kid is missing out on having their mommy or daddy there at graduation because they're at work. That breaks my heart.
If nothing else, that right there is more reason than any to go start a business so that you don't have to miss the plays. You don't have to miss the dances. You can make your kids the priority rather than making a buck. That's huge.
I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. And the parents sometimes will justify and it's a little white lie. But in reality, it's the things that kids remember, like, wow, my mom couldn't make my graduation or my dad couldn't make my graduation because they had to work. Yeah. Right? So that hurts. And then I'll leave you with the fifth one. Tax benefits and incentives.
Oh, yeah.
You know a little something about that, Brigham. Most entrepreneurs do. If you're educated, right?
That's right.
The key is you got to become educated because the IRS guidelines, they were written for entrepreneurs. They weren't written for W-2 employees. So if you want to take advantage of those tax write-offs, learn how to be a business owner, become an entrepreneur. I'll leave you with those 5 right there.
Excellent. Well, Loretta, thank you so much. This has been a fascinating conversation. Wonderful stories. So much fun. You have such an exuberance for life. And I love those 6 P's that you brought up. It's such a pleasure to be able to share the stage with you. You have so much wisdom. And that's definitely why she's called Mama Soul Wisdom, because she definitely is exuding wisdom all the time. So thank you for exuding that wisdom once more. And guys, one of the things she brought up, which is so important, and one of the reasons why I wrote this little ebook, was a lot of times people get stuck in their public speaking in a way that they don't feel like they can express themselves. They can't share their story. And I've got this download for you guys, which is all about how to overcome stage fright. Because if you can't clearly communicate, you can't share your story, it costs you way more than money. It costs you your face, that reputation. It costs you so much in how you can leave a positive impact, because there are stories inside you that, if go unsaid, will devastate you and your kids. If you share those, you bring your family into your business, into your life, you speak them into existence, you share those stories, you can change people's lives, just like what Loretta did for many of you and for me. Thank you so much, Loretta, for being willing to be vulnerable and give a gift to this audience. With that, I'm going to say thank you so much, and God bless, guys. Have a great rest of your day. I'll hit this and we'll see you next time. God bless.